Hello and welcome to Hardcast, where we'll go through a totally inconsequential story and love it. I'm Humphrey Erm.
And I am Christian Claus.
Lifeline. Give me Eternal Warrior, Days of Steel. Alright, let me hazard a guess. I think you liked this one.
I loved this one. Obviously, come on. My favorite character, it's in a period piece. What is there not to love about this?
Yeah, no, I like it too.
One question.
Yes.
Why is it that in a comic or a story that I love, it's only 3 chapters long? Like seriously, I was reading this, and then when it got to the end of the 3rd chapter, because here's the thing. We're usually reading this over the PDF version. Like I'm looking at them on PDFs. And I can see how many pages are in there. So when we open up a story like Dr. Mirage or, Bloodshot or something that I don't really enjoy that much, especially Harbinger stuff, I always look at the page count. I'm like, 164 pages. This is going to take forever. I'm so excited about Eternal Warrior that I didn't even look. I didn't even think about it. I just started reading and I was enjoying myself. Everything was great. And then it got to the end of the 3rd chapter and then it was just like, end. So I looked up at the number 103 pages. Sorry, 104. And it's just like, why? Why not fill it with just all this extra material? They didn't even have scripts in this one. Come on. They've been doing it, ever since Dr. Mirage. They've always been doing that. Not in this one. Come on, fill it out a little bit more. I want more Eternal Warrior goodness.
Yeah, no, it's, again, I forgot there was 3 issues as well. I was also surprised. I wasn't surprised when it ended because I remembered it like that. But I was kind of like, wait a minute, did I miss the cover on one of them?
Right.
Did I maybe scroll through too quickly? So I was like, oh no, it is 3 issues, huh? But you better get used to it for once we get to the more modern Valiant. You remember I told you quite a way back now that with the current ones coming out, they're apparently aiming for more of this 3 issue arcs.
Yeah, but if it's with everyone, then it's much better because I don't want to suffer through 5 issues of Harbinger and then only get 3 issues of Eternal Warrior. If everyone's 3, then it's fine. Then it's equal. Then it's all good.
Yeah, it is company
but
policy.
Come on. Yeah.
Well, it could be also what's called sales-wise, because I actually, we should actually check. We could have a look through these numbers as well on other issues and stuff. Because I'm actually curious how well these issues sold, and not too well. Actually, I have the dead numbers here.
Oh, yeah?
Issue 1. What's called issue 1 sold 6,785 copies.
Of Eternal Warrior or of this volume?
Of the first issue of Eternal Warrior Days of Steel. Because again, this is part of the numbering.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
5,760 for the 2nd issue, and 4,889 for the last one.
Well, those are just normal numbers. You always go down after something like that. But
yeah, but compare.
I don't understand the comparison to other comics. Is that a lot?
Yeah, no, but compare the first Eternal Warrior. There's what's called the Sword of the Wild we read.
Mm-hmm.
First issue, 17,224.
Oh, damn.
2nd issue, 11,984. 3rd, 9,628. 4th, 9,645.
All right.
So again, I don't think it was canceled midway through or anything, but what's interesting to see that this one that I liked so much might just not resonate when it's just this kind of standalone story, even though that's what I want the most.
So just as I guess as a reference point for me and maybe for some of the other listeners who don't know, what are the numbers of a normal DC and Marvel book? Because 7,000 is a very small number. Again, when we're talking about entertainment stuff, I feel like we're talking about billions of dollars being, earned and millions being spent and all that kind of stuff. And then to go down to this thing where only 7,000 people bought this book, that seems very, very low.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, consider this as well. What's called this is these are just American sales. You know, the United States has a population of let's see, 320 million or something,
Yeah.
and less than a
I mean,
million like sales of a single comic. Like in total, it comes up into the millions, but a lot of these comics are bought by the same people.
right.
And yes, as I had a little look
But
here,
I'm just thinking because there are like web comics that have more of a readership than this.
true, but also more easily accessible and for free.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, yes, there is a
that's
difference there.
crazy.
I just had a quick peek here for at least because they don't have August numbers yet because I guess they wait till it's over. But July of 2017, the number one comic sold there was issue one of Dark Days, The Casting. It's a DC event thing, I think.
Okay.
128,000 issues.
Yeah, okay, but that was the most selling. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
and it's the
thinking about
first
was
issue of
is
an
there like
event.
an yeah, and if there's like an average or something like that, but a
But
hundred
even
thousand being
so,
like
the
a
30.
high,
Hmm?
but 100,000 being like a high, that's pretty crazy already.
Yeah, no, but I've always said that. It's amazing how, I mean, it's almost laughable how this can be considered an industry when it's so niche and so
Yeah, actually, yeah.
small. I mean, what's it called? Yes, seeing some numbers here. There's two Batman books that are like third and fourth place with 107,000 and 102. And Star Wars, here's the one more like kind of long running here. The Marvel Star Wars issue 33 is 74,000 or 75, pretty much.
Yeah, but I mean that's also Star Wars. It has like a name
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
it and stuff like that.
But the big one, which
But it's
I'm
crazy
so
how
happy
how
about,
small these numbers are.
yeah, but here's the one that I'm most happy about though, because it's so impressive to see
Hmm.
how it fights with all the others. Walking Dead on like the ninth most sold. That's 67,910. Issue
Wow, can't believe
169.
that's still going on.
Yeah, issue 169. But that's so cool. You have all these big
Jesus.
guys here, and then this one creator owned the comic that's like, yep, we're pretty much top 10 with you guys.
Yeah.
And to
Man, wouldn't it be amazing to see one of these Valiant comics be up there someday?
I mean, it's on here. I just thought I'd check for July then. I guess search. I guess Control F the Valiant.
Yeah.
What's called the first Valiant title in the numbering here at number 154th most sold.
Oh damn.
Exo Manowar, the new one, at
Okay.
13,278 copies.
Damn.
So, but again, they don't have as many to sell though. That's the good thing. So the next one
Yeah,
up
but
is
still, I mean, that's still very low. I mean,
yeah, but if you keep your expenses small, that's the thing.
yeah, yeah, I guess.
Because again, they don't have 52 concurring series going on with like totally irrelevant or not irrelevant, what's the word? Redundant comics. Do we really need five Batman comics?
Yeah, but they don't have 52 different income sources.
That's true. Yeah, true. If all of those at least sell 10,000, or whatever, then yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, that's always a great thing. Like you put out 5 Batman comics and then they pay for the Aquaman comic, for example. So you can still tell the story that you want to tell with some character that isn't as popular. And yeah, that's what you do. You take the cash cow, you milk it dry, and then you put it into some other, like, use that milk to feed other projects. And I feel like, maybe Valiant doesn't have that, which is, it's just crazy how, I mean, they're so good. I mean, like even the worst ones aren't that bad. I mean, no matter what I say here on the podcast, I mean, none of them are like abhorrent. Like there are
Yeah, yeah,
some
no, it's
bad
lovely.
issues of like DC and stuff like that I've read that I'm just like, ugh, never going to touch this again. But I don't mind any of these, Valiant comics. They're all quality, like really good
Yeah, but it's
quality.
all no, but it's like we've said before. I mean, it's all what's called name brand recognition. You know, like even when people have complained about Batman, like Batman and Robin and stuff like that. It's the movie. You can't kill the Bat. He's way too ingrained in popular culture. He's too
Oh
big.
yeah,
He's
oh
too
yeah.
big to fail. So that's the thing, these guys. I mean, they actually have cool market share thing here on this website too, Comicron. What's called the share of overall units. So Marvel at 39.53% of the market, DC at 31.15%, and then Valiant at 0.83%. So not even a percentage. So
Man,
an Image Comics is like just below 10%. And then yeah, it's so
I
many.
feel like now I feel like my chances to like write a script for Valiant is feeling a little bit better now.
So yeah, no, again, it's I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see like their I mean, I've seen pictures of their offices and stuff, but it honestly would be cool just having like a look around and just seeing like, okay, how do the finances go and
I mean, I would love to go to Valiant offices and just kind of see them. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, how about we get back to the comic? I mean, we've been almost talking for like 10 minutes now just about the finance of all of this.
yeah, no, it's just something I thought it would be interesting because I was curious and I was kind of like surprised just how low the numbers were.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It did surprise me too.
Either way, it could be that there's just other people on stuff or whatnot. But yeah, I really like this one. I wanted to bring one point of interest though on page 8 with the story so far.
Yes.
I guess like the what's called the short and the simple of it, or however you'd refer to it.
Yeah.
Gilad Anipar is an immortal, and he has spent millennia in combat, serving at the behest of the Geomancer, who hears the voice of the earth and relays its commands. Gilad is the eternal warrior. Like the story so far is usually all of this like gotta put in a lot of backstory and all. Okay, this thing has happened in this one volume, and it crossed over with this, and that's why we're in this
Yeah,
situation
but
now.
then again, honestly, the next page is already a 2-page spread of his backstory.
Yeah, true, but it's not a backstory. You know what I mean? This is like just to me, this is just like I've seen them do
Yeah,
for even like Batman and Superman, even though it's like a totally
yeah.
new story. This is just to like show them off. I mean, this is just like, oh yeah, what a badass. I mean, sure, it explains things. It's not like purposeless, but yeah, I don't know. It's I guess, but what I like about it though is because it reminds me. I mean, this whole volume I felt because I've always compared or like discussed the comparison between American comics and like these like European ones. And what's called this one here is the one that's felt the most like what's called like a Franco-Belgian album
Okay.
because it's just one
I mean,
story
I
about a
can't really
guy.
speak much to that.
Yeah, no, but it's like as I've always had to or like I've always described things like Lucky Luke or Asterix.
Hmm.
They have a premise, they have like a setup, and then they just you know tell stories within that setup. Like Lucky Luke. Okay, Wild West. What kind of interesting things can happen in the Wild West? Ooh, what about we make a story about this? And
Yeah.
here they just have this cool concept, an immortal warrior. So yeah, no, but that's what I like about it. He's what's called. They just take this concept and then, oh, what about if we put him in this time period?
Right,
And
which is what I like so much about the Eternal Warrior.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I love it too. So I'm assuming you weren't. I don't want to say upset, but it didn't bother you that it didn't have any like greater purpose, so to speak.
Well, what do you mean greater purpose?
Most of these comics, they're serialized storytelling, so it's all about how things connect and what leads up to the next thing. But this is just a simple standalone story where it's not like a lead up to an event. It doesn't like cross over with anything.
Well,
It's
then
not
you don't know. It
important.
doesn't seem like you know me at all. I actually really love this. I love this more than the whole story. I like this idea that it's kind of like an anthology in that sense that you just have this character who just does cool things and it's like a story within itself because you know how bad my memory is with so many things. I can't remember the characters. I can't remember things
Mm,
that happened, especially when we have so many books that we're reading in between these characters that I like it when I can just start from zero again. I know who Gilad is. I know what he can do. I know who, like his whole like idea, all this stuff. So just put him into a world that I've never seen before. Put him here now in this Franco War kind of thing that there's going on. and then just play with there. Have this prophecy about this kid who's going to, save the people. Which again, I think the payoff, the way that they kind of did this whole thing, was amazing. I mean, I did kind of see it coming. Like it was kind of obvious that he did make the right choice. It is a classic story, but it didn't make it any worse. It was just a fun story that I liked to follow, and it was just an interesting thing to watch and read, and it was just fun, and I didn't have to worry about, okay, what's going to come next, like okay, when's the next comic going to come out so I can see the conclusion of this, I can buy it and then see that. I mean, that was the problem with like Aquaman and all these other serialized comics that I started reading, is that at some point they just got so expensive because they came out every month and I had to keep up all the time. And when I stopped at one point, like I did with Aquaman, because stuff got in the way, and then suddenly I realized, oh shit, I'm like 15 comics behind. And then I realized that's like almost 80 euros that I have to spend. Is it 80 euros? I guess like 4 euros per comic or something like that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah, that would be it.
No, wouldn't it be 60 euros? Something like that. Yeah. Anyway, a lot of money that I would have to spend. I mean, obviously not at one time, but if I ever wanted to catch up, I would have to, put that out there. I mean, it's much easier to just spend like $4 a month on a book than $60 at one point. But anyway, my point is just that I like that there's like a closed story so I can feel satisfied with it, and then I can jump in at any point, right? So it was just fun.
So yeah, no, I agree. Again, I just brought that point up because that's I'm wondering if that might be one of the reasons why people weren't so interested. Because he just kind of feels, well, what's the point of reading it if it doesn't, tie into anything or lead up to anything, or. And
I don't
again,
know. Do you think people are like that?
I think at some point, I mean, considering just how all these other comics are told, I mean, even things like the My Little Pony comic books, I mean, they have continuity.
Ugh,
So
really?
again, not as serialized as this stuff, like DC and Marvel, but it's a lot of callbacks and a lot of like connections and things. Rather, again, they
But
also
is it the
have
kind of
simple stories.
callbacks?
Hmm?
Is it the kind of callbacks that you need to know to understand, or is it just like fun little mentions on the side?
A mix
Because
of.
that's a whole different thing. Because I feel like you kind of open up your comic to a broader market if you have these standalone comics, because then you can attract more readers, because then they look at this and go like, oh, okay, so I can jump in right here and everything will make sense to me. That there's no like, it's not like with the freaking like Civil War comics or something like that, where you have to
Reading order.
download a print off sheet, yeah, and then kind of like check every single one while you read it. I mean, sure, it was successful, so a lot of people are doing that, and that's a lot of cha-ching for Marvel. But I'm just saying that I would feel much more comfortable if I'm walking into a comic book store looking for something new to read, that I would rather grab something like this, where even maybe on the cover they can say standalone story. They can be like, oh, this guy looks interesting. Oh, okay, let me just flip through it. Oh, the art's really nice. Let's, okay, let's take it. I don't have to worry about what comes before it. I don't have to worry about what comes after it. Perfect comic.
Yeah, no,
Just
but
like my five issue series that I'm writing right now for no one in particular, and probably just die on my website somewhere.
oh, what's it called a little workout, I'm sure.
Oh, I bet. Because that's what Valiant wants. They want unsolicited scripts from no-name writers who have a podcast where they talk badly about their comics.
So that's the best kind of writer.
Yeah.
He's gonna be like that guy in Ted, so the store owner.
Never watched that.
No.
Never watched that.
Yeah, yes, you did. You showed it to
I
me.
mean, yes, I did. Ted?
Yeah, Ted. With the Seth MacFarlane movie with the animated bear, the teddy bear.
Oh, that. I showed that to you?
Yeah, we watched it together. You said like it was good, and it was.
Oh, yeah, that was where we wanted to buy it on PlayStation, and it was only in German because they didn't do that yet, where they had it in the original. And we went to that old video store here in my city.
So yeah, exactly.
And yeah, and the old woman's died, by the way. It's now a driving school.
Oh, well, that's put a
Actually, I don't
damper
know
on
if she
this
died, but it's
podcast.
gone. No, I don't know if she died. I mean, but her shop is gone. She was
Oh,
selling a lot of stuff.
yeah, but still, put a damper on the
Uh,
podcast
we,
here. Oh well.
we bought some Godzilla movies from her. She still has some old Godzilla movies,
Oh,
so we
cool.
bought those. Yeah.
But anyways, so
Anyways,
yeah,
back
I'm
to
sure your script will go well. But what I mean is, that's what I also like about these things, and what I like about again these European comic albums. Because again, I haven't read every single Asterix and every single Lucky Luke.
wait. You
So, but
haven't? How can you call yourself a fan then?
I've read enough. But that's the thing; they're just there, and sure, some have there might be callbacks here and there, and there are some direct sequels, especially in Lucky Luke. I know. So like, there's this Billy the Kid album, and then there's the one called The Return of Billy the Kid. So,
Hmm.
and I actually read The Return first. But again, I was never too confused. It was always very clear who the character was, and what the goal and all that. It was easy to understand. But what I mean is, the story stood on its own. It's like, oh, it's a fun story about Lucky Luke escorting this little brat of a kid, to his other place, and all the crazy things that happen. And
Yeah, I
again,
think I read that one too.
it's just a lot of fun. But what I mean is, and as much as I love the shared universe aspect, I would kind of love to just have like a huge collection of stories like this about the Eternal Warrior.
Hmm.
Again, yes, yes, and again, not even in chronological order or anything. Like, okay, it starts in caveman times and goes forward. Just whatever people come up with, different writers and artists.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I love the Eternal Warrior so much because you can literally plop him in anywhere in time, the past, the future, and you don't have to explain it. You can separate him so easily from all these other characters that we know that are in the now because we can just say, "Oh, whip, this happened before he met all these people." You even put him into technically, you can put him into modern times, but before he met all these other people. So you can tell infinite amount of stories. You can put him in myths, which is what I'm doing. You can put him into actual historical fiction, like we saw already. Yeah, there's just so much stuff that you can do. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's honestly, and again, he's not like my favorite character. I think within like a Valiant, but I do think he's probably the best in terms of just being a versatile, iconic, and interesting character.
If I ever cosplay again, I'm definitely going to cosplay as Gilad.
Yay, I'll be Armstrong.
Yeah. Well, that suits you, doesn't it?
But yeah,
And
no.
no one's going to know who we are, especially not in Germany.
Well, I mean, if I were to do an accurate Armstrong one, I don't think anyone would think it was a costume. I think it's just, oh, look, a hobo. Yours though would be
And
like,
you,
okay, is that like an anime or something he's from? Oh, Eternal Warrior anime.
oh God, yes.
Yes, like really, and get like something like really gritty like animation, like a lot of blood and guts and stuff when they fight.
Oh yeah.
But
I
anyways,
sounded way too turned on there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
hey, I don't blame you. But yeah, no, I mean we're talking broad strokes and such regarding this volume, but I think that just shows just how good of a volume it was. So let's just play around with, or not play around, but discuss the specific topics. What's called?
Hit me.
Okay, from a what's called from a score from 1 to 10, how awful is Conrad,
Uh, Conrad was
the husband?
the husband, right? Well, what's one? What's 10?
I don't know, just awfulness in terms of leaving his
Okay.
wife alone to get
Well,
raped.
yeah. Well, that was a 10, definitely. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I
it is kind of weird that this old man is together with this young woman. I mean, obviously that's kind of what was happening in the time at that time a lot, I guess. But yeah, it's just I guess one reason is that you had to kind of explain where I guess this kind of shows that maybe those children were actually his and not that brutes.
Mm.
And because that one kid was exactly as cowardly as his dad. So I don't know. I guess maybe that was one way of showing it. I don't know. But yeah, horrible human. just leaves his wife to get raped. Which also was really weird because I didn't get that at first when like he ran away. I thought she got murdered. And then when I read her, like saw her then in the next page or the next chapter or whatever, I was just like, wait, what? And then she kind of mentioned it, and I was like, oh no, 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 no. Like, why is she still together with him? But I guess that was a different time when women couldn't just be independent.
So yeah, well, I mean, that's definitely the interesting thing with this scenario too. I mean, it's
And the
again,
way
I'm
that
not going
she
to go into like a
jokes
whole.
about it, like the way that she
Well, it's
jokes
been
about it
8 months.
later. Oh,
Well, I guess
8 months, yeah.
9 months, I
But
guess.
or also that one time when they were talking with the kid then though, like she was talking about it, like, and she joked about it in the sense of your father was brave once.
Yeah, when he did
I
save
mean,
her
but
there.
yeah, but save her. I mean, I thought it was also kind of like, so much of that, that Jerry thing in that one episode where he's like, "Oh, well done, Jerry, well done, Jerry, Jerry." I'm Jerry. Look at me, I'm Jerry. That's kind of what it felt like when he was on the ground. Like, look, I helped. While Gilad is actually beating this guy to death and just like actually doing the work. He's like, look at me, I actually helped.
So yeah, but I think it's yeah, I don't know. It's but I feel the whole thing works very well within the context of this time period and story
Oh yeah, definitely.
because, and this is the thing too. You sometimes forget just how lucky we are to live like in a modern Western society.
Mm.
Because no, but it's just like even like watching like things like Game of Thrones as a fantasy thing, or any other kind of like period piece stuff.
Wait, what do you mean fantasy thing? Game of Thrones is not fiction.
So well, it is
What? No.
no, but yes, this whole kind of scenario because I think we do find it now in our like very safe like little world, at least comparatively speaking. It's just very
Well,
interesting to have a scenario there where yeah, you just have what's called brigands from another country just invading and just as two innocents, like two civilians, just immediately, being in danger like that. And with no like central
yeah.
government or police force or army to help you.
Well, I'm sure there are certain people in the U.S. or I guess everywhere who have heard a type of line like that whole thing where it's like, there are but three of them, sir, and a babe. A babe is a person, and law has been broken. You know the punishment. You
Oh
know
yeah, yeah.
that kind of stuff has been said. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it looks like your brake light is broken. Crack. That kind of stuff. There's this kind of stuff still going on, sadly.
Oh yeah, no, certainly. But again, it's an abuse of what's called like it's an abuse of power that has been given rather than a foreign entity that's come in, so to speak.
Right, I guess, yeah. Yeah.
Again, you could have an argument about where if it makes a difference or not. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's just a very gritty environment, and it allows for a very like dark, serious story.
That's one of the things that I love about history is just that it's the security or the safety blanket of being able to look back.
Mm.
So I'm actually always really interested in like, when I was born, like reading about people who were still worried about like nuclear war and all that kind of stuff, like from the 70s and the 80s and stuff like that. And I just recently listened to this podcast. I think it's called Dan Carlin's History, something Epic History or something like that, which was an 8-hour podcast episode about
Ooh.
about the Cold War. And every single episode, like every episode he puts out is like 5 hours or longer. And it is so goddamn interesting. So yeah, it's just, and he was talking about all the Cold War stuff, and I was listening to it, and I didn't have like a bad feeling about it because I knew nothing was going to happen. He talks about all these people and how fearful they were about this Cold War and all the decisions that had to be made and all the decisions that made a huge difference, like the whole Cuban Missile Crisis. And I'm sitting there at work listening to this while I'm making my technical drawings and stuff like that. And it's like, with this like hindsight, I can know like, oh, you don't have anything to worry about. It's all going to be fine. And just like with going back onto this kind of stuff, it's just so interesting to look at this and go like, oh, you know who won the war, you know who did this kind of stuff, and that's why I love like historical fiction where people can then play with that and do different things. So the podcast is called, Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, and
Well, that
currently
only
the
sounds
Celtic,
hardcore. 8 hours.
yeah, oh yeah, the
I mean, that's
most
a
recent
work day.
episode.
That's a work day.
Oh yeah, I listened to it during day of work.
You know, work's over when
I
it
mean,
finishes.
yeah, the latest one is called the Celtic Holocaust. Yeah, the one before that was 5 hours long. Some other ones. Oh, look, there's a 3 hour and 33 minute one.
Dang.
But yeah, the Cold War one was probably the longest I've listened to so far. 8 hours. But yeah, check it out if you're a history buff because it's a lot of fun.
So yeah, no, I'll check it out this sometime. But yeah,
No,
but
you
it's
won't, Humphrey. No, you won't.
oh no, but that's kind of interesting. I could check that out. But anyways, so but yeah, no, but I agree with you. This, as you mentioned, is like safety blanket around it.
Yeah, the safety blanket of being able to look back.
Yeah, because but that's also what makes these things so interesting. Is this values dissonance? Just how people, what was accepted in a sense. Like even if you're not liking it, like none of these people are really acting like this is like weird. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like it's not like weird. It's not like wow. I mean, this. Have you ever considered this happening? Like no. But it's like oh crap. It's like goddamn Magyars again. Like
Right.
this is what this is the kind of scennario. And those are my favorite kind of period pieces as well that do try to live in like kind of feel like they're part of this world. Like it's so easy to make a period piece and but through the lens of our modern day values. Like having something like see how bad it is for women or see how these people oppress these people 1,000 years ago. It's like it's very easy to you have to do that when making a new story like that. But I find it much more fascinating when the people involved, not in terms of accepting it, but just like, yeah, well, they don't know any better. And I feel that's present here, especially with Gilad himself as well. Like he's not, a time traveler. He has the same values as the people, as he lives on. I'm
Right. I
assuming
mean,
his values are reflected of the time.
right. I mean, even though you could probably argue that he could have maybe some somewhat older kind of, what's it called? Kind of older values because he's lived through all of this. I mean, like that's always a weird thing. Like what does he think about? I don't know, African Americans. When he's living in America. I mean, obviously he's probably fought with actual African tribes and stuff like that, so he probably isn't racist in that sense. But I always feel like those things are also a little bit like heavy-handed when you have, like when you have like an old character in the present and then the kid goes back to the past and then meets the young version of that old person. That person is never a racist. You know what I mean? Like even though it's like the 50s or the 60s where like racism was rampant, black people were still being lynched and stuff like that. The main character is never a racist, even though it would have been, quote unquote, totally fine at that time. But because of our sensibilities, that character is always very outspokenly not racist. Which again, it's great. I just think it's really interesting that like every character that we've seen. So I mean, obviously we haven't seen that with Gilad yet, or I probably doubt we will.
Well,
But
like
it would be
yeah,
interesting to see.
well, the thing with Gilad is it's kind of he's got a tricky scenario anyways, since it's not because he doesn't work for any nation or ideology. He
Right.
works for the earth.
Yeah, I guess.
And as we've seen, like in the first volume, the Sword of the Wild, he was called. I mean, the Earth told them to let those Native Americans be killed, which it doesn't sound very nice, but no, it's for the greater good.
The greater good.
Yes, I was waiting for that. So so that's the thing there. So it's not like he's always doing the quote unquote right thing, but it's what the Earth as a
Right.
whole. And that stuff I find interesting
So the
too.
Earth's racist.
Well, that's the thing. No, the Earth is indifferent in terms of it just sees like the bigger picture. So, and that's what I find very interesting there, because I mean, it's kind of like in the volume 2 of Archer and Armstrong when Kate gets to like see the Earth, in the form of like this monkey woman. So, if you remember,
Yep.
so and how she kind of like she kind of like failed at her job at first, and it's kind of like, oh, what should I do? And it's like, oh no, it's fine. We'll just let everything kind of get destroyed, and we'll try again. Because again, for the Earth will always exist. So
Right.
I don't know. It's just very interesting because it's not a simple thing of just us humans interacting or doing things. It's, oh no, this is a weird, complicated
Well,
thing.
again, wasn't that one of those things, like one of those comics by that, what's his name? The guy, is it Zen Comics? No. It's the one where he always
No.
draws a quote from
Yeah, no, that, yeah, the Zen
like a
pencils.
famous, the
Yeah,
Zen
Zen
pencils. That's the one. Yeah.
pencils.
Yeah. He recently put one up. I don't know if it's a repost or something like that, but he put one on his Instagram of that racist guy who then gets a ticket from his daughter or something like that to travel the world, and then he
Oh,
stops being
that's an old
racist
one.
because
Yeah, I'm assuming
yeah,
he
yeah,
reposted because of what's going on.
yeah, yeah. So I feel like someone like Gilad probably wouldn't have that. He because he probably would have, as I said, he probably fought with some African tribes. He's probably from Egypt, ancient Egypt, right? Isn't that like where the whole thing started? So I feel like,
You mean him? You mean his like origin, like with his brothers?
yeah,
No, no, way before Egypt. Again, it's like the very first
yeah, and, oh,
civilization, Mesopotamia.
yeah, yeah, I know, but like area wise, it was very, wasn't it somewhere in North Africa, kind of?
No, no, it would be like in the sort of Middle East, entering Asia area.
Okay, okay. But either way, I just feel like he's traveled so much in his life that I'm sure that he's come across every culture imaginable, and has no like preconceived notions or anything like that about certain people. But yeah, it would be interesting. Again, that's what I think is so great about Gilad. You can just put him, plop him anywhere, and then just watch him do his thing.
Exactly, and I don't think he has to have like too much of an arc. Like you can have him have like here where he has like a crisis of faith. But the thing is, and I think this is a big problem many times with these kinds of like superhero comics, the way they're like told and sold. They're always trying to like every writer wants to do the next big thing with the character. Like if here you go, you're the new writer for Batman. Okay, I'm really gonna reinvent the character now. Or like I'm gonna do a
Of
big
course.
thing, so I leave my mark. And I'm always like, well, why don't you come up with some cool stories with the villains he has? Come up with some new villains. Like have him solve some problems. But no, we have to go into his past. We have to like rethink like how his whole like thing started. Like a lot of like retconning. It's like I don't know. It's like why I would love for a writer to just kind of not necessarily continue where the last one left off, but again, do something like this where it's just a nice story. And that's what I like about this too, and what I would love with a whole series of Eternal Warriors like this, where ironically the Eternal Warrior isn't really the main character. You know what I mean? Like he's
Oh, you
not
mean
the
like in my book?
yeah, no, but like not the protagonist in that sense. I mean, he's not so much here either. I mean, it's the what was his name? The poor disabled boy, Falk. Yeah, what's called Falk. I mean, it's Falk's story really in that sense. I mean, he's the one who solves the whole problem by the end, and it's him like having this like conflict. Just being this
Oh
weakling
my god,
who
dude!
what?
It's a folk story.
Very good, very good.
Okay, good, good, cool.
I don't know, just I don't know, I'm rambling, but it was just a fun. Like I had a good time reading it. It was a solid
Oh
story,
yeah,
told very well. yeah, just pure enjoyment. So here's a question though.
Okay.
Were you what's it called? Did you have any knowledge of this historical like period?
No.
Me neither. I
I
actually
mean,
looked it
they,
up to just kind of see what exactly was referring to.
they literally did mention some German towns that are close by, so you know that was
Mm.
fun.
Yeah, no, but I've
Yeah,
never
but they kept on talking. They kept on talking Franks, and I was like, wait, Franks? But were they in Germany? But I guess they were. And I mean, this is a time period that I don't really know that much about anyway. So
yeah, ninth and
you
10th
know,
century Europe.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, no, it's just really weird because it also shows just how much stuff changes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the Magyars, I mean, they're Hungarians.
Oh okay.
Apparently, Hungary, like modern day Hungary, wasn't like native to Europe. It's like apparently like a sort of nomadic tribes people from East who like invaded Europe. And then after they finally were kind of like pushed back thanks to the song, so they kind of
Yes.
yeah, I see it here on the yeah they have it here on the Wikipedia page about the song. No, no, but apparently they then settled in modern day Hungary, and from there just kind of yeah they became part of the European culture. But again, that's just so interesting. I mean, my what's called my grandfather's from Hungary,
Mm.
so it's just kind of interesting. They're like, aha, you know, again, doesn't change anything, but it's just interesting hearing that this is the kind of like origin they have.
Is that why they emphasized on page 14 the word hungry?
Probably.
I've
You're
been riding and fighting for 5 days solid. I was feeling hungry.
so you're in a punny mood.
Oh, I'm very punny tonight.
So all right. So, but yeah, no, I don't know. It's yeah, I didn't know either. I just looked it up afterwards because I was kind of curious. I remember way back when
Yeah,
I
I
read
was
it the
going to do
first
that too,
time.
but then I had to go for a walk with my dog. So,
Oh, speaking of dogs, let's go. Yes, art wise, I love the art, but I fell in love with the third panel on page 36.
those wolves, huh?
Yeah, but just those two wolves in the front, their expressions, I just love them.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
I mean, that
I
one
mean,
like in
they
the
do look
corner
very much
there
like my
just
dog.
looks.
I'm, I mean, my dog is a husky mix, so he is very wolf like, and I've seen him make those expressions. I mean, not because I cut him or anything like that, but you know, he has made those expressions at some point.
Yeah, it just looks great. It's just, I don't know, guess that in the one corner is just gonna nope, I'm out. And the other
Yeah,
one's, I mean, you know, the other
yes,
one's more
that was,
sad. The other one's more
yeah,
sad, but it's just kind of like still like, oh boy, now I made a mistake. I don't know, just really fun. Like you know, for as awful as the scenario is, you know, it's just kind of like
yeah,
I don't know, it's so expressive.
oh yeah.
And again, it's a veteran artist for Valiant, Kerry Nord. So do you know how veteran?
How veteran?
That's called. They started off the Valiant universe. They were first issue of Exo Manowar.
Mm,
Artists for that. So they seem to have
very
a
nice.
penchant for period pieces,
I guess.
or at very least penchant for period first issue period piece for Exo Manowar.
Well, I mean,
Like
I gotta say, I
maybe
do.
they tricked them in there. Like, oh, cool, it's a period piece. Yeah, sure, I'll go. I'll sign up. And they're
Right,
like,
right.
oh, you curse you, Valiant, you tricked me.
But I guess I do really like the art in this. I mean, it's very consistent and beautiful. I'm just kind of looking through them right now. So, what was that? What was it? The Savior's mark, or the Christ's mark, or what were they talking about?
Oh yeah, they're like
Why is it a red circle?
I don't know. I've never seen people with that. Yeah, the
I
mark
mean,
of the
obviously, no one
savior.
has it. Yeah, I don't understand why it would be a mark of a savior. I was thinking it would be a cross, but I guess back then Christianity wasn't really pushing through Europe
Ah,
yet.
I think it would. I mean, what's called? I mean, yeah, heck, just a few pages before you see a burning church.
Yeah, but this was like before, it was like Christ is the savior. I mean, didn't that whole thing come within the Romans and stuff like that?
Yeah, but
Or
remember,
is it still fighting?
this is taking place like in year 800 AD, so 800 years after Christ.
Yeah, so I mean, would Christianity already be that far developed already?
So yeah, in some forms, yeah. Actually, again, I don't know, might be talking on my ass in that sense, but its existence is obviously there. But I think in savior wise, it's just
Yeah.
not like savior in like Christian religious sense. It's just literally he's gonna save the country.
Yeah, I know, but
So it's
I
just
guess
I
why
don't know.
would
I
it be
think
a
it's
dot?
just I think for me it's just the red spot of it feels kind of unnatural. Like if it was just like a big
Mm.
mole or something. But I guess it's just a nice indicator, especially when you have a character who's gonna grow up. Like we see him at different ages. So it's I guess good that we can
Mm.
have him and recognize, just like with Gilad with his scars, regardless of artist.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Oh, actually, a question is did you kind of imagine him a bit like in page 41 for your script, the last panel there of him in the inn?
Hmm.
Is that kind of how you imagine that one scene in your script, like
Yes.
the way he's kind of sitting there with his hood?
Yep, exactly like that. But pretty much, but with more visible scars because it has to be revealed quite quickly that it is Gilad who's looking because he that would be his first appearance in the script, and
Hmm.
it's pretty late in the script.
All right. So, but
Man,
yeah,
we're talking so much about it now. I'm getting all this pressure that I need to actually finish it and publish it.
that's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm bringing it up. Well, you brought it up yourself.
Assuming that anyone actually wants to read it. I mean, who wants to read a script of a comic?
Well, I mean, again, and if it's from someone famous or for something you're excited about and want the leak of, so I guess it
Yeah, I
doesn't
guess.
really
Yeah.
apply to you at all in any way.
Mm.
Nah, so what's called. You guys should check it out. It's actually, and again, I know I'm biased, of course, but at least from what I've read so far, it actually feels pretty decent. I'm looking forward to the finished or at least the first draft.
Yeah. I'll see if I can finish it when I'm in Finland. Get it? Finish in Finland.
All right.
Okay, you
Yeah.
didn't get it.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think we've again, we never really go through like plot point by plot point. We just kind of discuss our overall feelings and some specifics. Is
Which
there?
obviously we're open to do. So if you would rather us kind of go through issue by issue and kind of discuss what happens and how we feel about it specifically, let us know. I mean, we're on Twitter and stuff like that. So you can always, and on Facebook where you can send us a little bit longer stuff, just in case you are interested in influencing the show somehow, because we're just doing what we feel like doing. I mean, we have no like script or anything that we're following. We're just kind of like, let's just talk about the comic.
So as it should be. So, but yeah, I don't have anything else to add really. We've gone through my
All
questions,
right.
and again, I think we can all agree that it was definitely one of the best of best comics Valiant has published.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm sad to say that it was only three chapters long or 3 issues long. Would love to see a couple more chapters or issues of this
Yeah, but
this little story.
it feels nice and concise. Like sure they
Yeah,
could have.
the pacing wasn't too fast. It wasn't too slow. It was perfect. But I mean, you could always come up with another thing to add, like another battle to put in there, or another hurdle to overcome.
Yeah, but still, it's always nice when it's down to the gritty nitty, the bare essentials.
Of
Because
course.
otherwise, everything else will just be filler, and then we might not have liked it as much. Because then we'd have bring up the point of how did it kind of drag out in issue 3, kind of like they just wanted to fill it out a
Mm,
bit.
right. True. True.
But yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So, but all right.
Well, there's one thing I'd like to add just quickly on the side. If you do like our show, or if you don't like our show, could you please rate us on iTunes or Apple Podcast, as it is called now? Because I realized that we're 49 episodes in and we haven't even mentioned this at all. And apparently it's very important for podcasts. So if you could please rate us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whatever you have, whatever it's called, it would greatly help us, and we would love to read some feedback on the show. And then, more people can see us, and more people can enjoy us rambling on about Valiant Comics. Also, one other thing, because of scheduling things, like I've mentioned already, I will be in Finland next week, so we will not have time to record the 50th episode. However, Humphrey has agreed to do an episode by himself. Now, I don't know what the topic is going to be yet, and he's going to edit himself and all that stuff. So Next week is going to be a bonus episode instead of a normal hardcast episode. And then the week after that, Humphrey is actually going to be visiting me here in Germany, and we are going to do an episode together on the same couch, talking to the same microphone while we discuss episode 50 or volume 50. So, yeah, look forward to that.
So, good idea, what he said. Well, that was the 49th episode of Hardcast, detailing Eternal Warrior Days of Steel. You can discuss this episode on Reddit, tweet us, or you can follow us on Facebook. Links are in the show notes. Also, all of our episodes are available on our hosting site, Podbean. Catch us next time for our next episode, discussing the Valiant.